Hello everyone, it's Rev Deanna here, and for your midweek reflection on this Wednesday, February the 9th, it's a lovely day outside and I should have been recording outside, but it's quite icy out there as well, and so that's actually what I was going to talk about today, was that how kind of icy and mucky and messy the world is, and how do we have hope in the midst of all of that. And so you will know that if you're close to where we are in East Central Alberta, that we've had, it's felt like Mother Nature has been quite confused, because it's been minus 30 and very cold, and then almost like the next day, within the next 24 hours, raining and +2, and and so the roads and the sidewalks have been quite treacherous lately. And so my heart goes out to all who are traveling and walking, and that I pray for safe travels in whatever method you are using to get around, not only today, but every day. And the other reason that our world is kind of mucky and messy is that for 2 years, we've been living under some varying degree of restrictions because of the pandemic. And yesterday, our premier announced that a lot of the restrictions are being lifted. And for some, this will be a dramatic change. Well, it is a dramatic change. For some, it will be a very welcomed change, as it's been I'm not gonna lie, it's been a hard couple years with the isolation and this uncertainty, right? There's a certain messiness to uncertainty, and we've lived with a lot of that for over 2 years. And so some are going to really welcome and lean into this lifting of protocols and returning to normal. And then there's going to be others that are very nervous about it. And as I was thinking about that, it's quite a bit like our icy streets and sidewalks. There's some of us that kind of enjoy is the wrong word, but we can see the ice as hopeful because it is a sign of warmer days, and that perhaps the long, cold, dark days of winter are more behind us than they are ahead of us. So even though the icy streets and sidewalks are messy and treacherous, they're also hope-filled because they are a sign of spring and of better days to come. Yet on the other hand, there are people where the ice will be even more isolating. Because of mobility or other issues, the ice presents a very real threat to their well-being. If they fell, it would be very dangerous for them. And so strapping on cleats or using someone's arm just isn't an option for them. No matter any sort of safety precautions that the average person could take, just isn't going to work. So these icy conditions are even further isolating, if you will. And somehow, in the midst of that, as Christians, as God's people, we are called to love and care for each other. And somehow, in the midst of that chaos and messiness, we have to find ways to hold on to hope. Whether we are the people that are rejoicing at the hope of spring, or whether we are the people that are really reluctant to venture out because it feels dangerous and threatening. And so that's the same with this shift in protocols. Some of us are going to rejoice and just really lean into it, and others are going to be very hesitant. And as God's people, we need to find ways to help each other hold on to hope, to be kind, to treat people with compassion and understanding and grace. And as we together try and navigate this icy, messy, mucky time the best way that we can. And one of the ways of, on Sunday, I'm going to be talking about hope and how we can, ways that we might be able to hold on to hope through chaotic times. And we are in kind of a chaotic time. There's a lot of divisiveness, and there's parts of me that worries that this leap in protocols could add fuel to that divisiveness. And so I'm urging us to put on our garment of God's love when we approach each other over this next transitional time. And one of the ways that I'm going to talk about holding, on to love, that a colleague shared with me, is to think, instead of thinking of an issue like, and we have to convince each other that one is right and one is wrong. My colleague said to think of it more like a dance instead of a war. And so if you bump up against somebody that believes differently than you, instead of thinking, well, I need to change their mind, maybe think about how are ways that we can partner together as if you were doing a dance. Because when you dance, it's not about, if you dance with somebody who has a different style than you, it's not about changing them completely. It's about how can we both dance to the same music in our own ways and share that space together. And you find commonalities, like you have the shared rhythms, the shared lyrics sometimes, but you express them in different ways. So maybe thinking of this time, kind of like walking on ice is a bit of a dance. If you think of this time as a dance and find ways that you can partner with people that believe differently than you, then maybe that will help you to find ways to be hopeful amidst the chaos. And then if you want to hear more about hope, hopefully my recording will work this Sunday. I was experimenting with some tech last week and it didn't work. So I hope you enjoyed the message from Nadia Bowles-Weber. She's a really gifted preacher, writer that I enjoy. And this, I will try my best to record the service in a way that I can share. And so just to give you a snippet, I'll be primarily working from this book, Hanging On to Hope by Melanie Swoboda. And she describes hope as our deepest longing or desire for something good in the future. And so as faithful people, one of our hopes is for God's kingdom to be on earth and the promises of eternal life and everlasting love that we hear in our scriptures and through our faith. And so those are some of our deepest longings and that inspire and that translate into hope. And so I invite you to find ways to fill your hearts with those things, to remind yourself that there is hope in the world and that we cultivate hope by sharing laughter and joy and finding things to help us carry on. And so as I dance along the ice for the rest of this week, I am going to be channeling the desire or my longing and desire for spring, and knowing that the ice is actually a sign of warmer weather and better things to come. So friends, thank you for joining me for this, our midweek reflection. I hope that you can find some nugget in it to help you through your week, and take care and God bless. Bye.